Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting behind the wheel to really break down the absolute essentials of safe driving. And for this, we're going straight to the source, Unit 1 of the official Saudi Theoretical Driving Handbook. We're going to give you the core knowledge you absolutely have to be safe on the road.
So let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the absolute heart of what driving is all about. Think about it. You're in control of a 1,500-kilogram machine. That's a lot of weight, and it's often moving pretty fast. Do you really understand the forces you're dealing with? Because this isn't just theory. This is about keeping yourself and everyone else safe.
Okay, so before we even think about hitting the gas, we've got to talk about your mindset. Because according to the handbook, everything, and I mean everything, starts with having the right attitude. And this really is the core idea that sets the tone for everything else. It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's a huge responsibility to you, to the people in your car, and to every single other person you share the road with. And hey, to help us out along the way, we've got this little guide here, straight from the handbook. He's going to be pointing out all the really crucial stuff we need to pay attention to.
All right, let's get into the science of it all. Because if you really want to be in control of your car, you first have to understand the physics, how it moves, and probably more importantly, how it stops.
Okay, so imagine this. You're driving, and suddenly something runs out onto the road. Your brain has to see it, register the danger, and then send a signal to your foot to hit the brake. Now that whole process, it takes the average person about a full second. And for that entire second, your car is still barreling along at whatever speed you were going. The distance you travel in just that 1 second, that's your reaction distance. And then, the moment your foot actually hits that brake pedal, the car starts to slow down, but it doesn't just stop on a dime, right? The distance it takes to come to a full stop after you've hit the brakes, that's your braking distance. And so many things can affect it. Your speed for sure, the weight of your car, the condition of the road, even how good your tires are.
So let's put those two things together. It's a really simple formula, but it is absolutely vital to understand. Your reaction distance plus your braking distance equals your total stopping distance. And that number, that's the bare minimum amount of space you need to have in front of you to avoid hitting something.
And this is where it really hits home. Let's say you're just driving at a normal city speed, maybe 50 kilometers per hour. Your total stopping distance is around 40 meters. Now, what does that even mean? Well, think about a football pitch. That's almost half the length of one. It's way more space than you probably think it is.
Okay, so now that you've got a handle on the physics of your own car, it's time to learn the language that everyone on the road speaks. These are the rules of priority, what you might call right-of-way, and they're what keep everything moving safely and predictably.
So here's a perfect example, a really basic rule of the road. At an intersection like this, you've got the white car going straight and the orange car wanting to make a turn. The rule couldn't be simpler. The car going straight has priority, always. So the orange car has to wait. It's that simple.
And that same exact logic applies when you're changing lanes. See the orange car here? It wants to move into the other lane. Well, it has to yield, or give way, to the traffic that's already in that lane and going straight, like the white car. It all comes down to predictability. That's what keeps everyone safe.
So, what happens when someone decides to just ignore that language of the road? Well, the consequences are pretty serious. And trust me, they're tracked, and those points can add up way faster than you think.
The handbook lays out a point system to enforce these rules, and you can see right away how it works. The penalties get bigger depending on how dangerous the action is. Speeding a little over the limit might get you a few points, but really reckless stuff, that carries some huge penalties. And here's the number you really need to remember: 24. That's the magic number, the threshold. But what's really wild is that you can hit that number with a single violation, like driving under the influence or drifting. Think about that. One awful decision and you could lose your license, just like that.
And all of this brings us to what might be the most important lesson of all. It goes beyond just knowing the physics or memorizing the rules. Safe driving is really about a mindset, a way of thinking that you have to adopt every single time you get behind the wheel. And that mindset is called defensive driving. It's all about being proactive, not reactive. It means you're not just worried about what you're doing, you're constantly scanning the road, anticipating what other drivers might do wrong. You're always thinking ahead, trying to keep this invisible bubble of safety around your car at all times.
And this quote from the handbook really just sums it up perfectly. It's not enough to just feel safe. Real safety comes from being an active participant. You have to stay alert and take on that personal responsibility for keeping not just yourself, but everyone else on the road safe.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought.
The handbook can give you all the rules, and we can explain all the physics. But the real art of driving, that comes down to this one question. Because being able to anticipate what other people will do, that's what makes the difference between someone who's just a good driver and someone who is a truly safe one.